Nothing like a hangover episode. Hungover episode? I don't know.
Did anyone check the bathroom for a tiger? Are we good?
Where'd the baby come from? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This My Bourbon podcast. I am your hungover host, Perry. Oh, we're recording the day after Southern Whiskey Society, which, mind you, was a great time. But today I'm feeling it. But I'm joined by some really awesome people. I got Jason and Natalie and Corey. Lucy's sitting next to me, but she's mic-less. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I had the both of you all on at Whiskey Weekend, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Corey's new to the show, though.
Yeah.
Apparently, he has a radio voice.
Well, I've been told you're already in on the secret. You know that I'm not tall. I'm also not as cool. So you're kind of doing this backwards. You're supposed to hear it first and then go, "Oh man, I thought you'd be taller." So
Taller and cooler, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we normally start the show out with a segment called Flying Blind, but we're not drinking anything on this episode. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. So we'll move on to what we've been drinking recently, and I think that we have a few things that we've been drinking recently that were pretty special.
Yeah. Should I do a quick count of the list?
I would love for
Excellent.
you to do that.
All right. So, in an attempt to rub it into my friends who did not come and make the trip from the Kansas City area, we got the new E.H. Taylor, which was glorious. George T. Stagg 18, the LaRue Weller 18, a Willet 5-year rye, the collard greens, Weller Full Proof, Old Rip 10, California Gold, Knob Creek Bourbon Karma, Kentucky Owl Confiscated, Knob Creek Boomtown 2, Lot 40 Cask Strength, Stave and Barrel. In the parking lot, I managed to drink a 1984 Wild Turkey. I'm still not really sure how that happened.
I think that was
Black,
Dustin Whitaker
yeah.
that made that happen.
The Amaranth again, the William LaRue Weller 19, which was ridiculous.
That was phenomenal.
Kentucky Owl 3 for the rye, Four Roses 130, Michter's 10-year, Garrison Brothers single barrel, Magnus triple cask, Blanton's Amaranth again, Old Forester 1920, Old Greasy Batch 3, Knob Creek Ain't Half Bad, William LaRue Weller 18 again, New Riff single barrel rye, Michter's King Tut, which was how
What?
that happened. Yeah, that was out of a decanter.
decanter, yeah.
Yeah, 20 plus years old. Handy BTEC 18, Amaranth again, and then the Dickel 9-year store pick.
I like that you literally wrote down everything that you had.
I had to go back and fix a lot of the spelling this morning, but
That
it's
makes
there.
sense.
That's much more comprehensive than me. All I remember is walking into the event, Buffalo Trace line, 2019 Weller,
Yeah.
WL Weller,
And you peaked.
and then a blur, coming back, leaving the event, and watching the Buffalo Trace table pop 2018 Stag, and got back in line. So I bookended by the two BTACs, and that's all I remember.
Yeah, I just really regret shooting that 1984 Wild Turkey because I didn't know what it was.
Did Dustin just...
I was like, oh, damn.
I wish I could have seen the look on his face when that...
It was good, though.
happened.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, and the magic, what was it, 25-year-old,
Oh, that Heaven Hill
the Heaven Hill.
that Grease had in a flask?
Yeah. I normally don't respond when somebody grabs something out of their back pocket and says, you need to taste this.
Usually it's a trick.
Exactly. I thought I was going to get roofied or something, but, 25-year-old Heaven Hill, 150 proof, or what he called it, 151 or something. It was crazy.
It was that hot?
He said he had a few, so I'm not sure exactly, but he said 151 was his exact words.
I trust Grease.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he pulls something out of his back pocket and says, you need to try this, I'm going to try it. 9 times out of 10. Outside of the event, though, we spent a good deal of time with Tarak over at Elixir and then stopped in at Barrels and Brews as well. But let me just say, if you have heard tell of the way that Turok likes to get people drunk when they come into his store, it is no myth. It is 100% true. Guy was pulling stuff out left, right, and sideways for all of us to try, and that was at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah. And that was a funny. That there was kind of a catchphrase. Everybody I talked to, they would just say, "We went over and got Turoked." That was a
Yep.
thing. He should sell T-shirts that says "I've been Turoked," because that's what everybody's saying. Which means we were held captive by amazing stuff and stayed in there for an hour and a half.
Well, so Elixir's kind of like being Indiana Jones on a hunt for whiskey and bourbon.
Right.
Because that store, there's so much stuff, but it's everywhere, and there's boxes, and there's stuff wildly out of any kind of regular order. Turok knows where everything is, but no one else seems to. So it's like, here, try this. He's like, do you have it? And he's like, yeah, it's over there. And you have to kind of search in and around and behind, and it's
like going to the Children's Museum and finding the sand pit where you've got to dig out the dinosaur bones.
It is wild. I was mind blown. What just kind of shows up randomly in boxes there.
Walks through the catacombs and comes out with a magic prize. It's
I love, too, that, you see something and you're like, oh, do you have any of that open? And he's like, not yet.
We do.
But we can. 20 seconds later, it's open, and you've had it. And, I mean, we had everything from Bellmead Black to the Cornerstone Rye, the new Wild Turkey Master's Keep, a freaking amazing Elijah Craig pick that they had, their very first Russell's Reserve pick, which was amazing. But it just, the list went on, and I couldn't even begin to remember everything that was there.
He's does a fantastic job of floating your wallet to the top, I think is what happens.
I got out of there mostly scot-free. So
I almost did. I didn't drink much because I was the driver. So Nat got Turoked. And then all I remember, I'm standing outside the edge there because it's fairly narrow and I block things. So all I remember is Nat coming over and just handing me a bottle of Dovetail and said, buy this, I'll be in the car getting air conditioning.
it was hot in there.
Smart lady.
It was toasty in that store. But that's kind of what we've been drinking. Last night was a whole heck of a lot of fun. I figured we'd take some time to kind of talk about why it's an important thing for us to have events like this and why we enjoy things like this so much. And I think the big one for me, at the very least, is just knowing the relationships that are built at events like Southern Whiskey Society, and the fact that they somehow magically seem to be maintained even after
Absolutely.
the 4 or 5 hours that we spend together. I mean, so a prime example of that in my case is Dustin Whitaker, great friend of the show, great friend in general of ours. Met him last year for the first time. And Misty. Sorry, Misty. They have now, every month since December, been to our house. We've seen them every month since December.
That's so cool.
Which is, it's amazing. And I mean, without something like Southern Whiskey Society as a vehicle for us to develop those relationships, it may have found a way, but I don't think that it would have been as tangible as it is now. And I mean, heck, we didn't know each other before Whiskey Weekend.
That's right.
And here we are sitting in your temporary home, your Airbnb. But what is it for you guys that makes you want to keep coming back and doing things like Southern Whiskey Society?
I think you nailed it on the head. I actually kind of made a joke last night. If this was an event and they were just serving peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, I would still come to hang out with the people that I've met. Because, like I said, I remember the 2 pours. I don't remember much of what I was. Thank you, Natalie. I don't remember much of what I was drinking, but I remember all the events. I remember watching Dixon Deadman spot Natalie in a crowd. It's like, I remember you. Cut through the crowd just to give Natalie a hug.
He pointed at you, I think.
Pointed, yeah. He said, I know you, and just ran to her. And and Matt and everybody from Whiskey Weekend and Corey. Like I said, Corey's got a great story about even getting here. We blackmailed him on the Google Meetup, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and he was on, and we basically talked him, and he bought the tickets in the meetup.
Right.
And I said, I volunteered the Airbnb. He said, you got a place to stay? You got your tickets? It was done in yeah.
$700 later. Here I am. Yeah.
And it was great. Same thing. And it's like he's right in that fraternity.
Yeah.
He's in that group where.
So it's interesting. So we run a whiskey group back home, the Wamigo Whiskey Syndicate, and it's the bourbonbrothers.com, and we started running our events here in the Midwest, which is a little bit different because it's not the home to whiskey. Kansas is we make all kinds of wheat. We can throw a bunch of wheat in that bourbon, but it's just not really what it's known for. But it's a building culture there that exists here, but it's based upon the same thing. And Natalie and I were talking about it before. There's two kinds of whiskey guys, right, or girls. The ones that are like, hey, my friends are over. Here's my best stuff, and let's share it and have this cool time. And then there's people like, I have all this cool stuff. You should be impressed by it. We don't drink it. We just look at
Exactly.
It's a trophy.
And the whole group seems to be focused kind of on the opposite. Like the guys from Buffalo Trace are showing up with, hey, this isn't even released yet. You want to try it? Great, have it. Dixon's got Al Batch 3 Rye. Doesn't exist yet. You want to try it? Let's have it. And there's always someone like sneaking you something with kind of a wink and a nod to make sure that your time was right. And that started Friday and continued all the way up until around 2 a.m. last night.
Yeah, and that's why this is the low energy hungover episode.
Yeah.
Natalie, what about you?
I just feel like I was talking earlier, saying that, bourbon's a good social lubricant, but I really don't think that we need it with these people, because everybody's just so friendly and just warm and welcoming. And it's really nice to have a community where you can, I look forward to getting in touch with people every day. We keep in touch on Facebook and different things. And, I share jokes, and that's just part of my day is to, connect with my friends. So it's really fun.
I feel like I talk to this group as much, if not more, than my own family.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Dad. One of the cool things about it too is that it seems like it's just not limited to those 4 or 5 hours, and that we very literally didn't want the party to stop. So we get to the after party, and Brett, with his backpack of magic goodness, continues pouring me magic goodness. I can't even really remember what all he had for me, but do we make it back with my Glencairn? Oh, no.
Seems questionable.
Oh, no.
I don't think so. Unless you stuck it in my bag.
I might have. Dang it.
And I gave mine away.
Well, this went from hungover to sad very quickly. But there's just this, continuing energy around it that doesn't seem to be limited to, the little bit of time that we get to spend together. I mean, we always want to have these awesome experiences with one another. And yeah, bourbon may have been the culprit in some of it, but I think it's the fact that we're all willing to be open and hang out with each other and share our life stories. And it's a really great community that something like Southern Whiskey Society allows us to enjoy together.
The human being is a social animal and requires companionship. And since the beginning of time, all the great inventions have been, hey, how do we turn this into booze? Like since caveman times, we're like, man, how do we turn this into booze? mostly because it just gives you a reason to get together and be with people. So it's interesting because you can use social media and things like that to bring people together.
Sure.
But you can also use you have more opportunity than ever to lock yourself away and never go see anybody. Mm-hmm. So events like this, I think, are just like a necessary release. It's a social thing that when you're in the midst of it, you're like, oh. Now I remember, I really do like people. I don't like watching 8 hours of Netflix being shamed. Are you still watching this? I'm like, yes, I'm still watching this. I should be outside talking. I should be talking to my friends. So, and that's what it does. It's hey, go meet some human beings.
Well, and also, how food brings people together through the experience.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that having all these unique bottles and these unique experiences and then sharing it and saying, what are you experiencing? How does, and taking it into your body, and then it's making it a physical experience and a emotional and friendship experience. It's really unique.
And not to pick on you, Lucy, but you and Misty love to make fun of us, me and Dustin, when we're hanging out and tasting different bourbons and going, oh, I get this on the nose, or
Exactly.
I'm finding this on the palate. And that, to me, is, just part of that shared experience and sharing. It seems like at the core of it, it's about sharing knowledge, which is a huge gift in and of itself to be able to, offer somebody, is just, showing them or allowing them into a space where, you can be very vulnerable. And it's something that I really do cherish and enjoy. And I think, too, about how this is something that leads to you wanting to kind of, quote unquote, share the gospel of the bourbon community.
The spirit
Right.
is very
That's right.
willing.
Send it. Send it.
You think about how many bourbon societies, how many whiskey societies have popped up, even just in the past few years. Southern Whiskey Society is a testament to communities that will be built if the will is there. I want to talk about the food, though.
Oh,
For sure, that was mind-blowing.
Yeah, let's talk about the most mind-blowing part of it, though.
What
Was
I'm going to let you talk about food. I'm going to go catch a plane and be disappointed that none of that food exists in Kansas. Well, we do barbecue. You guys come to Kansas. We'll do some
I'd
Kansas
love
City
to come.
barbecue,
For
and we'll
sure.
make that happen.
to come there?
All right.
Corey, thanks for sitting in.
No
buddy.
problem.
Good
You
seeing
guys have a wonderful time.
So since Corey is leaving, Lucy is stepping in.
Hello, is this on?
Oh, yes, it's on. Yes, it is in fact on. Anyway, food at Southern Whiskey Society. I think we have to talk about the dark horse of the evening,
Hardee's.
Hardee's, which
Mind blown.
I've thought easily the best thing there last night.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Which you may hear that and go, so what? Were they passing around Hardee's cheeseburgers and everything else just
Nope.
sucked in comparison? No. They had fried duck
Duck fried duck.
On a Hardee's biscuit.
on Hardee's biscuit.
Homemade right there in front of your face.
Yep.
I woke up this morning craving them.
Num num.
What was the thing on top?
It had bacon in it,
It,
and it was whipped.
it was like a.
It's like whipped butter.
Oh my!
what do they
Bacon,
call-
whipped butter?
Yeah. It was something good
Like an
that.
aioli,
No, it was
but
like
butter.
Yeah. Full on whipped butter texture.
Whatever it was delicious. And I would have just had that all night long
Yeah.
if there hadn't been so much other good food.
And the
Treehouse
lime-
Macarons were there. Sorry, go ahead.
The line for Hardee's was insane.
It was almost as long as the Buffalo Trace line.
Yeah.
Clearly, they could not get enough of that product made
No.
in order to satisfy
I mean, it
the
was like
demand for
perfect
it.
medium rare in there. It's
Oh,
just,
so
oh.
Luckily, they're used to fast food, so they're whipping it out pretty quickly. But
But people were eating it almost as fast as they were making it.
oh yeah, there are people
So
standing around waiting.
well, speaking of Treehouse Macarons, Clint Sample grabbed me by the shoulder and took me over there and says, you have to try these.
yes,
You have to try the Pimento cheese macaron.
which
And I looked at him cross-eyed. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
and you were wrong to
I was
say that.
incredibly wrong. I will publicly admit I ate that thing, and I may or may not have got back in line 3 to 4 times to get more.
I was not crazy. I don't really like pimento cheese that much. And it tastes just like pimento
It
cheese.
did.
It was weird.
It's really weird.
but it was great.
Delicious.
I get the appeal, but I did not
It's
care
just
for
not
it.
you. Yeah.
But the peach one, was it peach old fashioned
Peach Old
flavored?
Fashioned.
That was good. And then there was the hoe cake
Hoe
one
cake.
with bacon jam in the middle.
It was
That
so
was
good. I was just
Flavor explosion.
I was just gonna get the pimento cheese ones because that was my favorite last year, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna I'm gonna stick with it. But Lucy goes, you have to get the hoe cake one,
Yeah.
and
I tried it first because I knew Perry was making a mistake.
yeah,
So I went
was.
ahead and tried it to
I
tell
was.
him he, in fact, needed to get it.
But one of the cool things about it too is that they had such great, like high-end restaurant chefs
Yeah.
there,
And Hardee's.
and Hardee's, and Hardee's was the best out of everything.
Yeah.
Their
Nope.
head chef was there.
Yeah. They had a good chef. He was legit.
The head chef at Hardee's,
Yeah,
he
the
was
person who
lead
develops all their
food developer.
flavors
That's
and
the guy
everything.
who did it.
I did not realize that.
I didn't realize that either. I mean, I knew he was probably high up, but I didn't realize he was the
He
guy.
was the guy. From what I've heard from other
Do you-
people.
I
Do
wish
you-
I had told him how much I love him.
Do you think that we were product developers last
Oh.
night, product
I
testers?
think
I
so
think
for
so.
sure.
Gosh, I hope so. If they come with a fried duck biscuit, that's going to be dangerous.
My life will be over. You might as well just put me on the gurney. Roll me
Feed it
into
to
the
you.
hospital. Yeah.
The Nashville Duck Burger.
And that will make me sad because we have no Hardee's in Utah.
What?
Do you have Carl's Jr.?
We do
We
have
do.
Carl's Jr.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we do.
Well, we have those.
I get sausage, biscuit, and gravy all the time.
I like their fried chicken biscuit. It's a
Their
good
loaded
chunk
omelet
of-
biscuit's pretty amazing. Shrimp and grits. Oh, shrimp and grits from
Good
Husk.
grits.
Yeah. Lucio doesn't like
That
shrimp.
was like everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
That was walking around.
I see the way I was describing it to Lucy, it was like Hardee's was first, shrimp and grits were a far second, a distant second, even though they were still great. But that Hardee's biscuit, man,
But
I'm gonna
when
be dreaming
when we
about
talk
it.
about rating, it's kind of it's appropriate to be on a bourbon show because it's not like anything was bad. It's like rating bourbons. All four are amazing. They're all in the same, but I wouldn't even say better, just different. I mean, there was and like me, I fell in love with the smoked deviled eggs.
oh, those were
I
so
was
good.
I was like hanging out, like creeping around the corner like a raccoon, just pulling them off when nobody was looking. And
Did you ever make it over to the oysters?
I did.
she did.
Oh,
she had
they
one.
were
I'm not a
so
fan.
happy.
So.
I'm not a fan either. It's a texture thing.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I would have
same.
just sat
Yeah.
there and ate the whole thing.
I thought about it.
I
I
only
thought
had.
about it.
I think I had 4. I think so.
I had 2 or 3 as
the
well.
murder bay oysters. They were good.
I like the pork belly.
Oh,
That was-
pork belly
that
was
was
the first thing I had.
delicious.
Who did that? They're from Louisville.
Main Street Grocery, something like that.
And even the table from Seattle, the chef from Seattle that did the Jamaican jerk sausage.
Oh, that was good.
That was
Wow, that
It was
amazing.
spicy.
yeah, and it had the rice
good.
with the okra and everything in it. Oh, it was good.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm properly hungry again,
Peach ice cream.
Yes, we're on the same page there.
I didn't get to
It
Absolutely.
try.
was so good.
It
Oh,
had
did I-
candied
You gotta
ginger
buy
in
mine.
it.
Yeah.
It was delicious,
It was-
and
I
a little
love candied
little
ginger.
piece of shortbread with it. Oh,
Like a crunchy sugar top. It was so good. I went back for, I think, thirds on that.
I'm gonna have one of these cookies that are sitting in front of me.
yes,
Oh,
thank
that's
you,
the other
Ian
thing, too.
Campbell, for
Yeah, thank
bringing
you,
the
Ian.
Canadian goodies.
This is in the shape of a Canadian maple leaf.
Yeah.
He drove all the way from Canada to the event. He stayed at our Airbnb here, and he unloaded all of the goodies from Canada. He brought butter tarts and
Coffee crisp, and,
Cheese, chips, and-
dressed Lay's.
maple cheddar that was amazing. And
Ketchup chips.
oh, I love ketchup chips.
that are just good.
That's a no for me, Bob.
I don't even like potato chips, but I love ketchup chips now.
A lot of good food and drink. Well, and
Yeah.
then they
Yeah.
had the Eli Mason old fashions all night long.
You love me some Eli Mason old fashioned.
funny story about that. Nat was genuinely disappointed because she saw all the staff was running around with frozen old-fashioned slushies. And
saw
she's
that.
like,
I
where
didn't
do
know where
I
they
find
came
those?
from.
We actually asked the bartender up on the stage. She said they're only for the help,
That's
for the
stupid.
backstage people.
For the staff, honey.
The staff, excuse me.
The man behind the curtain.
I don't have a staff. I don't know how it works. Anyway. So yeah, the staff. Anyway, and she's like, "Do you have some cash in your wallet? Go bribe one of these staff to get me a frozen old fashioned."
Did you?
No.
I did enjoy the cheer wine. I'd never had that before.
Love cheer wine.
So good.
So much better than cherry Coke. Yeah. I want to talk to, I mean, you brought them up, so we have to talk about the fact that there are people who are coming from all over the place to come and attend this event,
Including you all.
including you all,
Salt
all
Lake
the way
City.
from Utah.
All right.
Ian Campbell, again, from Canada. Travis came in from Texas. It's just crazy that, I mean, we're only 3.5 hours away from Franklin. That is like nothing for us. So I can't imagine what it's like for you guys to come.
Well, it's only 3.5 hours for us too. It's just
Well,
on
yeah,
a
it's a
plane.
flight, but never mind. But there's just that dedication to what I'll affectionately call the cause, or the love for all this. I just think it's awesome that you guys are willing to come this far and share and make these memories with everybody who's, there for the same reason.
And we were excited. I mean, it might sound cliche, but we treated this as a family reunion. The people that we met for
We did
Whiskey
too.
Weekend, and we were just excited. It was a given. We were just going to go.
Overall, though, I think that this was just a fantastic event. I am going to go on record and say that I'm proud of myself for being a little bit more temperate this year.
A little.
A lot. Than I was last year. I went into it with the mindset of I want to be able to, not make a fool out of myself, much like I did last year as I was hanging on light poles and rolling down hills.
Many people couldn't believe I came back with you this year.
Grease.
They're very surprised.
I would have paid to see that.
Will walked in, or we walked in. Grease saw us, and he was like, "Lucy, I cannot believe."
I think Will said the exact same thing.
He probably did.
Yeah. They both had the same conversation with me.
Yeah, well, and they continued to call you a saint,
Yeah.
which you are. But
I mean, it's not that I was temperate or anything,
but you put up with me and my shenanigans.
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit here. But I'm happy that we got to share all this time together. It was just such an amazing experience getting to hang out with you guys again, and looking forward not just to Southern Whiskey Society 2020, but Whiskey Weekend Batch 2
Absolutely.
next year.
Can't wait.
Bigger and better than ever, I think. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode this week, but it's also my birthday week, and I don't want to give myself too much extra work. So we'll do a bonus episode later in the week. How about that? We're not done yet, though. We do have a segment where we recommend stuff for you. It's called Tips and Bits. Doesn't have to be whiskey related, as always. But do you guys have anything that you would like to recommend to the listeners of this My Bourbon podcast this week?
Oddly enough, I do.
Yes.
Actually, it's a music thing. I'm a big fan of Volbeat.
Really?
Volbeat just dropped their new album on Friday, and I listened to the whole thing on the flight over. And I love those guys.
I never would
So-
have picked you as a full beat fan.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Tyler Childers also dropped his new album on Friday.
good.
It's really, really good. We listened to that on the way down here, too.
So for me, it was just a little surprise. We went by the Dickel booth, and I tried the Bottled and Bond, and it was really good. It had a lot of clove and kind of like apple strudel notes, and I really loved it.
I don't mind it nearly as much as Will and the Grease did. Lucy, anything?
No, I wasn't prepared for this. Can you think of anything that I would recommend?
Well, I can definitely recommend the Kentucky Owl Rye Batch
Oh,
3
heck
whenever
yes.
it comes out.
Heck yes.
Whew, it was
Did you
great
get to
to
do
have
any
that
of the
again.
tasting notes for that?
Did.
Oh, yes, I love it.
But it was great to have that again.
Yeah, because we did get to try some of that back at Whiskey Weekend.
Oh, I have something.
Okay.
So while you all were drinking bourbon
Oh, yeah.
at Elixir,
Yes.
me and Misty searched for a bottle of wine because we both like wine. And we found this Bellini pre-mixed up. It's from Harry Cipriani, who has, all the fancy restaurants. It's a pretty blue bottle. I'm like, oh, well, it's pretty. And, she likes sweeter wine. I like drier wine, so it's kind of a compromise because I like Bellinis. We get it, and it is so stupid good. It's tastes like fresh peach.
Can confirm it was delicious.
Yeah. It doesn't taste like a bottled up peach drink. I mean, it tasted like they blended up some peaches and stuck it in there. Very good. Very refreshing.
I actually started listening to a couple new podcasts this week.
Surprise.
Yeah, really. Two that I've really enjoyed. The first one's called Film and Whiskey. The two guys, Bob and Brad, they review a movie and also a bottle of whiskey. They just got done with their Summer of Bourbon series too, which was really cool. And then a great show that is so far only on Spotify. It hasn't made it over to iTunes yet. It's called Bourbon and Blondes. Yes. It's two ladies, Abby and Elena, but they're just talking about what it's like to be female bourbon drinkers in 2019 and the empowerment behind it and everything. It's really a good listen, and I've enjoyed it a whole lot. I binged a couple episodes on the way to Bardstown Bourbon Company last week. So, yeah, you definitely should. You definitely should. That does it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening in. Really do appreciate it. Is there anywhere on social media that people can find you if they would like to? It's okay if no. Natalie's shaking her head and saying absolutely not. Lucy?
I'm on Instagram, Lucy B. Ritter. I'm on Twitter,
Camp123.
LKemp123. Facebook, Lucy Bellamy Ritter. I think that's it. Find me wherever you find Perry on social media.
Pretty much. If you would like to follow me, personally, I am at PRitter1492 on all social media platforms. If you would like to follow the show, though, it is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Give us a 5-star rate and review on iTunes. That really does help us out, getting more people listening to the show. If you'd like to check out all of our apparel and merch, you can head to bourbonshop.threadless.com. We've got free shipping going on there until, I believe, it's August 24th. If you have questions or comments, you can send them to thismybourbonshop@gmail.com. We always love hearing from listeners of the show. And then finally, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast to become a supporter of the show for as little as $1 a month. Jason and Natalie are actually supporters of the show. So you get the chance to maybe sit down. And record
Well
an
worth
episode.
the money.
Hey, thanks.
Absolutely.
Aw. You make me cry. You get awesome things like bonus episodes every month. You get Google Hangouts with other listeners of the show. It is a really fun community if you are able to do that. Again, it's patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. Thank you all so much for listening. This comes out on my birthday, so happy birthday, future Perry.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I can't believe I just wished myself happy birthday. That was lame. That was lame. I will see you next week for another fun episode. But until then, I'm Perry, and this is My Bourbon Podcast.